Let me know.
I shall. Okay, Madam Mayor, it's now 6:03 and we are live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular city commission meeting revised of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. Can we have the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy,
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga. I didn't hear you, Commissioners, just so you know for the future. Commissioner Kimberly Stokes,
Here.
Commissioner Reynaldo Diaz.
Here.
Great, thank you. Let's stand for a moment of silence. In the world that we have today, which is either on fire or flooded or at war, I just want us all to take a minute and think about the amazing opportunities and the amazing fortunate lives that we lead here, even if they're difficult here. Just to say thank you and be grateful for what we do have. Just for a minute. Amen. And the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Diaz.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic. Thanks.
Thank you. Additional. Someone else keeps moving my chair. Every time I go.
You're straight.
And that's not the direction I was gonna go in. Additions, deletions, or reordering?
Yes, Madam Mayor, consent item C, the proclamation for Constitution Week has been moved to presentation D.
Yep.
And new business C, the 6th Avenue South Substation property exchange has been reordered to new business A.
And that's it?
That's all I have.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve revised agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. The first up on the agenda that we have tonight is a certificate of appreciation. Now, this is being presented to the Lake Worth Beach Water Utilities employees for their performance during Hurricane Ian. And I have just a little statement, and I'm going to ask Sam to come on up. Where are you, Sam? There you are. Okay. Why don't you come up and speak first? You being the water man.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Commission.
I don't think that's on.
Hello.
It was on. There
Hello.
you go.
I just got to raise it up.
Just get close.
Good evening, Sam Hetty, Water Utility Director for the City of Lake Worth Beach. I'd like to say a few words for my team. Florida, give you a little background. Florida was hit by Hurricane Ian back almost this time last year. One of the strongest storms that ever hit the state of Florida, causing widespread damage and power outages of almost 2.6 million residents. The storm brought heavy rains, floods, storm surge, and winds reaching 150 miles an hour with gusts up to 160 miles an hour. Sadly, the storm claimed 161 lives. 150 of those lives were here in Florida. I didn't realize that. The total cost and damage for the hurricane was $113 billion, making it the third costliest storm on record. So I want to, putting all that into perspective, I would like to take a moment to recognize the incredible efforts of the hardworking staff at Lake Worth Beach Water Utilities during the difficult period of Hurricane Ian. Your commitment to minimizing the impact of the storm on other communities was exceptional. Despite the challenging circumstances, your team operated over 200 lift stations with generators provided by the city of Lake Worth Beach. Your team showcased the cooperative and resilient spirit that Floorwarn embodies. Your professionalism, commitment, and selflessness to others were truly remarkable. And I want to say, great job. That's my spiel.
That's your spiel. I was given a little spiel too, and I want to ask you, Flawarn, Flawarn, what does that stand for?
Floorwarn is Florida Water Wastewater. Yes,
Thank you. That was not a pop quiz, but you did quite well. Thank you. You did, well, it shows.
as a Marine, we have an acronym for everything, but I didn't know that one. So,
And I didn't either. So before I said anything about it, I wanted to know what it was.
yes.
So I have a little statement, and I thank
Yes.
Sam for this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to celebrate Flawarn, an organization that emerged after the hurricanes of 2004, which represents the power of collaboration. Flawarn is a network of utilities that exemplifies the bonds that communities create during crises, and it transcends geographical constraints in service of the greater good. We also want to recognize the employees of Lake Worth Beach, whose dedication to service and commitment to the community are the pillars on which the success of organizations like Flawarn rests. Excuse me. Lisa Wilson Davis is here tonight. Lisa is the Operations and Regulatory Compliance Manager for the city of Boca, and she's presenting the certificate. Thank you. Good evening.
And that's why I knew what Flawarn meant.
Right. Okay, welcome to our city.
Thank you so much, Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager. I am honored and privileged to be here. And I really appreciate you taking your time to recognize both Flawarn and, more importantly, your team members. I come from the city of Boca. That's where I work. We also sent teams. I also responded over to Greater Pine Island. And I will tell you, I was humbled. I have never seen such devastation. Hope I never see it again. Yet people who lost everything were working 12-hour days for their community. And your utility team members and giving the equipment was crucial in restoring some sense of normalcy to the lives over there. We also responded to Mexico Beach. And you know, your team is critical in making somebody's life a little bit better. And like I said, I am privileged and honored to present the certificate of appreciation to your team members. And you
Why
got
don't
a
they
bunch
come
back
up?
there? Yeah,
Come on up.
come
Don't
on,
be shy.
come on. There's the team members that responded, and there's also Judy, who was critical in coordinating that response and who spent many hours helping with that. So I'll give this to Sam. And I do want to, if it's okay to take a picture.
Of course, as many as you like. We are consistently proud of our staff.
I don't like to be, but I was kind of told I had to be.
Part of the job.
See the top of my head.
Everybody. Close your eyes, run.
He's sneaky. Thank you so much for everything that you do. We're very, very proud of our staff.
Thank you again, and I hope we don't need them ever again.
We were so very fortunate. And give our regards to Boca. Bye-bye. Thank you. Next up, we have a proclamation declaring September 30th, 2023 as Arbor Day. I'll wait till the. Oh, really? I always thought Arbor Day was in June. That's. not true. And we have our own Arbor guy here. Our arborist.
Well.
Careful how you say that. Careful how you say that. This is a proclamation about about Arbor Day. And this is a city that loves trees. We do. We're trying to get as many as we possibly can. Everyone up on this commission shares a deep belief in shade and having trees. And this is a proclamation which hopefully reflects that. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And I think generally just making life a better place to be. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim September 30th, 2023 as Arbor Day in Lake Worth Beach, urging all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. And I've signed it and the seal is on it. So thank you very much. Mr. McGrew, would you like to take this? Why don't you have a couple words about trees in Lake Worth Beach?
Well, instead of trees in Lake Worth Beach, I'm sure some of you know we're having a tree planting to commemorate Arbor Day on September 30th at 10 a.m. at the City Hall Annex. And I have actually started the Arbor Day, the Tree City USA application. It opened up earlier this week. This is one of the items that is required. So I will upload that and we'll get the application hopefully early October.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you for
Thank
all the
you.
work that you do.
Thank you.
Originally, this next one was going to be on the, oh no, the next one is, oh, I have myself. Here we go. Mr. Sam Roman, would you come up? Mr. Roman here is here tonight as a representative of the Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce, and it's a wonderful organization. They have great festivals and do a lot for their community. So we have a proclamation. Whereas Hispanics of multiple nationalities have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of the city of Lake Worth Beach in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas the historical influence of Hispanic contributions is outweighed only by the vital and integral role Hispanics currently play in shaping the present and future of the city of Lake Worth Beach in business, education, law, science, technology, and numerous other fields. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated nationwide and begins on September 15th, the anniversary of the independence of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, with Mexico achieving independence on September 16th and Chile on September 18th. Hispanic Heritage Month has been celebrated in the United States since 1974. And whereas the Hispanic population in Palm Beach County is more than 23% of the 1.5 million who call the county home, and organizations such as the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Guatemala Maya Center, the Farm Worker Coordinating Council of the Palm Beach County, and many other organizations in Lake Worth Beach collaborate to promote and enhance the local Hispanic community and its culture, and continue a history of working on multiple initiatives and partnerships to benefit the community. And whereas, in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, we honor the contributions Hispanics have made in the city of Lake Worth Beach, and we highlight an important part of the rich diversity that keeps our community strong. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Lake Worth Beach, and on behalf of the commission, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2023 as Hispanic Heritage Month. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Lake Worth Beach to be affixed this 19th day of September, 2023. And I'd like to come down, we'd all like to come down and give that to you.
Please, ma'am. Thank you.
No, I just heard there's a festival, the Guatemalan Festival is in Bryan. I just heard the Bryan Park Festival, Guatemalan Festival is this Saturday, and I didn't know about it, and I'd love to hear about those kinds of things. I hate to hear about things after they've happened. This next one, it's the last one, is one which was originally on the consent agenda, and I asked the staff to pull it because I now, more than ever right now, I think that we need to hear and be reminded of our Constitution. Whereas September 17th, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas celebration of the Constitution was started by the Daughters of the American Revolution. In 1955, the DAR petitioned Congress to set aside September 17th to the 23rd annually to be dedicated to the observance of Constitutional Week. The resolution was later adopted by the U.S. Congress and signed into public law on August 2nd, 1956 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, highlighting awareness and respect for our great American heritage. And whereas all people within the boundaries of the United States of America, whether citizens or visitors, enjoy the protection of their individual rights to an extent unparalleled on the face of the earth since recorded history, but these rights also imply individual responsibility. And whereas it is proper for all people to reflect on the blessings of liberty afforded them in the United States as guaranteed by the Constitution, and it is proper that official recognition be accorded to this expression of the foundation of our freedoms that set America apart from every other nation. And whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach honors the blessings of liberty and the foundation of freedoms guaranteed by the United States Constitution that so define our city's proud history and guide our promising future. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Lake Worth Beach, and on behalf of the commission, do hereby proclaim September 17th to 23rd, 2023 as Constitution Week, and ask all residents to reaffirm the ideals that the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness whereof, I have here to set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Lake Worth Beach to be fixed this 19th day of September, 2023. It felt important to recognize all that. So now we have commission liaison reports and comments. Let's start with one. Let's start with one today.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll go quick. So I visited Royal Point Santa Neighborhood Association. They came back out of hiatus and had their first neighborhood meeting last week. And they're going to start doing their meetings again monthly. Next month will be a social meeting that they're going to be holding on my suggestion at the Lake Worth Beach Haunted Hallways at Osborne Community Center. So we're going to do an outside social. We're going to go do the tour of the Osborne Community Center when it's decorated for the Halloween scary thing that it's actually very scary. Believe it.
It is very scary.
Staff does a great job. It's quite scary and it's free. And it's going to be both Friday and Saturday. I think that date is October 20th and the 21st. Yeah, that's the week before Halloween. So we'll be doing that. I have been graciously, I'm thankful that the Florida League of Cities was happy with the work that I did last year with the municipal advocacy group, and I've been asked to be on that again this year. So we'll be going back up to Tallahassee, fighting the good fight. On Saturday, I will be taking part with the Habitat for Humanity's CEO build at 7:15 a.m. I'll be helping build one of the Habitat homes, and I'll be in the company of some great leaders, Lois Frankel, Ann Gannon, and Greg Weiss are on the panel as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we had fun at Gang Awareness, didn't we?
We did have fun at Gang
Chris was there from
Yep, it was great.
McVoy and the mayor, and we Barton Elementary every year holds a gang awareness activity with the elementary school. And it's put on by PBSO and Gang Awareness, Crime Stoppers for the children. They do skits about the signs of being involved with the gang and what to do if you think somebody's involved and how to say no. And it was a great activity, and thank you everybody for coming out and partaking.
And it was so much fun because when you and I spoke and when Carmen spoke, we sort of got into the spirit of like, and it was great because the kids were so responsive. And we were seeing negative
Seventh
things.
grade, yeah.
And these kids were just like there and excited. And it was great. Yep. Okay.
In answer to your question, Madam Mayor, the Festival Maya organized by the organization Maya Ikbalam, which is a cultural organization in Lake Worth and West Palm Beach, seeks to maintain Mayan culture here in those that are outside of Guatemala. That is at Bryant Park, as it's been for a number of years. This Saturday, 10 to 4. They will, part of their tradition is electing a Princesa Maya to represent the community and help encourage the cultural continuations. And then there's also a dance. Usually there's a dance in the evening, usually at the American Fuller Center later on. So that's open to the public. It's
Thank
free.
you. I've been to them and they're wonderful events, but I just,
Yeah.
how do we find out about this stuff? It's frustrating.
I am a member of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. One of the things that is frequently a topic there, we meet up in Stewart and covers a number of counties, Palm Beach County, Martin, St. Lucie, both mayors and elected officials and county officials come up. One of the things that comes up a lot is train safety. Very relevant in our community and a lot of other communities in South Florida. Unfortunately, South Florida is very much on the radar of the Federal Railway Administration because we, for some weird reason, have a lot more unfortunate accidents than other parts of the country with rail. Brightline is very assertive about trying to be preventive on that. Florida Railroad Agency is also, there is grant money available to help. I'm happy to report that Jamie Brown, our Public Works Director, is very active with that. I usually call him up and I know the FRA person and I call up Jamie and says, oh yeah, we met with him last week. Jamie's usually quite on it. I will say, a heads up for ourselves in the community, we were informed that if you want some of that grant money, it will help a lot if you're willing to do a closing. We have two crossings at 2nd Avenue North and 3rd Avenue North, right next to each other, a block apart. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It certainly costs us extra money because we as a city have responsibility for maintenance of the crossings as well as the railroads, but we have more of it. So I don't know whether Jamie will bring that to us, but if we can volunteer, and I think he mentioned that he thought, well, I'll let him suggest which one is the better one to close. That would bump us up a lot in terms of grant money to deal with safety at the other crossings. So I think we should consider that. I'm glad that we had the Arbor Day proclamation. As many of you know, I've been on the tree board. I've been involved with tree issues for many, many years in the city. I'm very concerned that we express a lot of affection for trees, and I think the commission is very positive about trees, especially native trees. But I don't see us moving very much on it. I would really like to see us do better on maintenance of trees, some sort of certification program for people who do tree trimming, some sort of concrete program that we put in writing of how we're going to get to an increased tree canopy, both on private and on public land. Can't remember whether I mentioned that I went down to the Energy Expo in Miami to learn a little bit more about the latest practices, mostly in renewable energy and in storage. I think I may have mentioned that. Personal excitement was meeting one of the spectacular longtime designers in the solar and renewable energy. No, he's not with us anymore. I am old, but you know, we're like this in my youth. No, Robin Culture is very well known in that, and he was there. He's actually moving to South Florida from Washington State.
Sunnier.
It's, well, he said he's a little older than me, and he said it was kind of, he's gonna still be active. I'm happy to report that, the Fiesta de San Miguel was held, on Saturday. That is also a Mayan celebration, in this case organized by a different organization, the Guatemalan Maya Center. They did a spectacular job of organizing it. This was held for the first time, I think, at the American Polish Club, I guess it is, further out on Lake Worth Road. It was packed. From kids this big dancing to, I got to dance with one of our residents' mothers who I've definitely past 80. And it just was really nice to see. All of the 5 candidates for Princessa spoke part of their acceptance or their competition speeches in one of the Mayan languages, which is, they're not easy. And it was just very, very nicely done and a lot of fun. And I too joined the gang awareness thing. It was very light and fun and a good thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stokes.
Speaking of trees, I, at the risk of decision fatigue, have decided to plant a shade tree in my front yard in the coming weeks, but now I have to figure out which shade tree. So I'm excited to do that, and we'll have more trees throughout the city, I'm sure. We were all at the Recovery Hub grand opening last week, and
Yeah, that's right.
it was like packed. It
Yeah.
was
It was
really
great.
full. And I was really excited to see the number of people show up to support Pathways to Recovery for our community. We also had the Yappy Hour a little over a week or 2 ago.
Friday,
Yeah, at Stoley Park, and they set up temporary dog fences, and there was a big dog and a little dog park, and there was a pretty good turnout.
I was wondering, I couldn't make it, but yeah.
It took me only like 2 or 3 songs to catch on to the theme of all the dog songs that that they were playing. It was fun. It was well attended. So that was great. And then we had also had our second education task force meeting here since we picked the new board, and all of the members showed up, were in attendance. They'd all made contact at their schools, and we already have 2 speakers lined up. We were trying to have 1 speaker from each school come every month, and we've already have October and November booked. So I'm really excited to see what they can do this year. The 2 things that came up already in the discussions that every single school is dealing with are tardiness, just trying to get kids to school on time, and the attendance issues. So we'll learn more about that, and I don't know if there's any way for us to help, but it's good to know that's an issue. And then sometimes transportation is an issue of just when you have active kids participating in extracurriculars, how do you get them to those events? And then not only how do you get them to the events, how do you get their parents to they want to go and show up, but sometimes transportation is a big hurdle.
Yeah, I'm always, I mean, I go to a lot of the events at the high school that I can, and it's really easy. Like I'll go to the Christmas concert that the band gives, which they work so hard to do that. And there's 3 parents there. I see a few citizens and friends there, but not the parents. And it's just sad.
Something we could do is make sure that we have a good parking policy for Bryant Park for, I don't know what.
No, I was talking about at the high school.
Oh, out there. I know when they had the holiday event at Bryant Park, we had a decent, I felt like they were decent.
But there was more going on than just, I'm talking about the actual concerts, the park was better attended, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
That's it.
Where the recovery hub is here in Lake Worth.
Yeah, it's right across from the CRA on Lucerne Avenue,
11:20.
1120. Thank you.
Just across the tracks.
Yep.
Mr. Diaz.
Yeah, thank you. The opening of the hub was really encouraging. I think I've certainly got a number of comments that there's a slight disappointment that it wasn't, and those were meant to be artist lofts, if you will, but but I think it's a good use. They're close to Hatch and CRA, and there's so many. I've mentioned it so many times before that, like, for whatever reason, Lake Worth, we have just an incredible amount of nonprofits based here, and Hub is going to be, like, just as the name implies, a hub that kind of brings them together and connects people. So really happy that came together, and happy to see people I know involved as well. Other than that, I attended a presentation of sorts from Benito Gaspar, who's PBSO's public relations outreach, I think. Is that right, Captain Bear? Yeah, and he gave a presentation at Bridges, which was, I think, really beneficial in that it was just to kind of put it out there, there's been a little bit of a spike in a particular type of crime that victimizes our Central American community. And so Benito did a great presentation to, I think, about a dozen people showed up. We definitely want to boost those numbers, but it was basically a presentation on this is what's happening. Here's some pointers to not be a victim. And things like that. It was quite the learning experience, I think, for everyone involved, and those kinds of presentations, I think, are really critical because it's an opportunity for us to hear from the community about what they have been going through specifically. And luckily, what we heard from them is there weren't any complaints about deputies here. It was actually, quite honestly, their husbands worked in other counties, and that's where they encountered problems. So they came and they, had some questions and whatnot. And working with Moses at Bridges, that's another connection. I do need to make an intro email or meeting with Carmen, because I think they're really eager to let's say rebuild a relationship with the city, because they have a number of events. There was that, and then the following week they also had an event that was hurricane preparedness and emergency preparedness, and I think there's a role that we could play in helping get the word out to get members of our community to Bridges to get involved with these presentations, because they're super helpful and beneficial. Other than that, thank you for mentioning the festival this weekend. Another event is at the Lake Worth Playhouse, which unfortunately had to go through something pretty awful. We lost our executive director there. But this Friday, the 22nd at 7 p.m., they're hosting Swede Fest, as in SWEDE, like Sweden. If you don't get the reference, there was a really cute movie years ago called Be Kind Rewind, and it kind of kicked off this subculture of film people to make really cheesy and corny kind of knockoffs of real movies. It's really fun. It's really funny. It's actually hosted by a high school friend of mine, and they'll be hosting that film festival on Friday, and it's fun. They're like 2-minute. Like, you think of campy B-rated movies, it's even cheesier than that. This is like Backyard and all the good stuff.
Is that part of the LW Film Festival, or is that separate?
Now separate.
Just
Same,
separate.
very similar people.
Right,
a lot of the
right,
similar people, but it's different. And I think that's it for events. That and Mayan Festival. I unfortunately have to miss both of them because I'll be out of town for work for a board meeting, but yeah, those are ones that are not missed.
I'm sure you'll be missed. Yeah.
Add one little thing.
Sure.
I'm proud to announce, I'm proud enough, but happy to announce that we've all supported here SELF, the Solar Energy Loan Fund, which by name sounds like it's focused only on solar energy. It's not. It's really focused on energy efficiency for homes, low income and middle income folks. Is primarily oriented to unsecured loans. We are the organization's nonprofit bank with a remarkable failure rate, I guess, of loans. We have partnered with them so that we have now a employee on site here in Lake Worth. And yesterday he closed his first loan, providing a loan for somebody who's disabled who has a leaking roof, and they're on it.
Perfect. That's good. That's great. Thank you for that. That's good news. It's fun once in a while. People.
Bingo, thank you.
Um, okay, the first thing that Commissioner Malega said about the Florida League of Cities, she's on one committee, I'm on the legislative committee for the land use and economic development. And that's the second year, I guess almost third year that I've served. And we had our first meeting up in Orlando. There's a few Orlando overnight trips that we have to make, and talking about the priorities that this legislative committee is going to look at, because we feel that the legislature is once again going to go after our sovereign immunity. Right now, there's a level of $250,000. If you sue, if it's more than that, you have to go to the state and ask for extra money. They are talking about raising it to over $2 million. Which would bankrupt the cities. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so we're going to be fighting that. So quite a few other things, but I just wanted to bring that up. I have been named to the board of directors of the Florida League of Mayors. On October 27th is the city's Halloween event at Bryant Park. There will be an appearance by the Lake Worth Witches. We go into rehearsal this week. So it'll be fun. The trees, yeah. I mean, I'm working with a group of citizens who have approached about trees, people that you know, and we're going to be going to the tree board to have we're actually working with Carmen about that. There is a organized sort of movement going on to get a plan for the trees for the city and to fund it. So we're looking really heavily at that because it's important. Lastly, this is something I'm a little personally annoyed at. We've been this commission has been sort of intransigent on the issue of turf. And I have to give you an example of what I was faced with something this week. There's a building on Lucerne Avenue, lovely building, Angle Group, we all know it. And a restaurant, someone just bought it, a restaurateur who wants to bring a very well-respected, very well-known restaurant into this space. Everything's good. In the back, there's a patio and it's completely covered with a solid roof. There are paver bricks about this big, white big bricks. And in between these paver bricks is turf. It's covered. It's there. It's neat. There's not really even a runoff issue. And the city has told them that because the commission has said we will not discuss turf, they have to now figure out a way we did it to the Bohemian. And I have to I cannot let it drop that we need to have, I believe that leadership is also compromise. And I think, I tried to bring it up a few months ago when I was told flatly that this commission would not discuss it.
We did
And
discuss it. We had
Not
a
all
workshop.
commission, not all
We had an
commission,
entire
please.
workshop on it.
Please. And I'm asking I understand, and that's the response that I got. We will not discuss this. This is not a discussion. That is not, I don't believe, the way to good leadership. I think that we should listen to the needs of our citizens. I am all for very, very limited uses of it, but I think an all out, we will not discuss it again. It's done is an unfortunate position. And that's all I have to say. And it's not a discussion. Okay, so now we're on to non-agended and consent.
Madam Mayor, can you address the passing of Stephanie from?
Sure, we've had a couple of sad occurrences in the city. Recently, Franny Lee, who many of us knew and loved, who was an amazing person, who was a Tony Award-winning costume designer. She was she and her husband were the costume designers for Saturday Night Live for the first 5 years. She invented the bees. She invented the Egyptian outfit. She invented the cone heads. She was the person sticking things together with literally, toilet paper tubes and masking tape. It was a long time ago. I had the pleasure of working with Franny in 1968. So imagine at a club in New York City. So imagine my surprise a few years ago when a mutual friend from New York called and said, I think Franny Lee moved to Lake Worth Beach. And in fact, she did. And we were able to reestablish that relationship. A couple of years ago, we went, my sister, my assistant, and Franny and I went up to the Women's March in Washington, and she was a joyful addition to our little trip. She spent many an hour in my sister's pool. She became a real part of the community. And what was so wonderful was the community embraced her. She was very energetic, very little eccentric, wonderful, warm-hearted person, and everybody loved her. And when I saw when the outpouring after she passed, it warmed my heart. I was able to call some friends in New York, some mutual friends, and go, she was well loved down here. So I just want to say that. And then now the executive director of the Lake Worth Playhouse has passed, Stephanie Shore. And a huge setback. She was an amazing part of the, I mean, we have such a gem with the Lake Worth. I know some of you know it, but we have such a gem with the Lake Worth Playhouse that is continuing going, thriving, and putting on great events. So our hearts go out, and we will be sending flowers, I believe, to the theater in recognition. So I'm sure there will be a celebration of both of those lives at the theater very soon. Thank you, Commissioner Lega. And Jimmy Butler.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, hi. Oh, I'm sorry. Now we're going on to you now. That's right. Sorry. I don't know. You're so quiet.
I know.
Okay, what's your report, madam?
Few things. Just want to let you all know that I did attend the NAPC meeting on the 9th. So it was a great opportunity to share city information and answer questions to the presidents of our neighborhood association presidents. So that was a good day that day. And also later on that day, visited our museum.
Mm-hmm.
I saw you there. So we
Ran
had
into
the
me
same
there?
agenda that day. So enjoyed visiting with Walter and reviewing the new exhibit. So I want to encourage everyone to come out and on Saturday afternoon and see the new, I think he has a new wardrobe
Yep, it's gorgeous.
expedition in there. So please come and see that.
He has turned it into a real museum. It used to be like where people brought their stuff from their grandmother that was finished that we didn't really know what to do with. And he's made it into a museum. It's really remarkable if you haven't seen that.
Absolutely. So it's always something new. He always looking for new things to show up about Lake Worth Beach. So that's exciting. Also, I also attended the gang awareness night. So it was very exciting. And I always love talking to children and encouraging them, and also just saying that they are special. They need to hear that they're special. So that was a fun time. And also attended the Hub Recovery ribbon cutting. So of course, very happy for that that organization to be part of our community, because I think it's going to be a great source of resources for our community. And then just want to let you know that I will be attending the ICMA conference in Austin, Texas. That'll be from September 29th to October 5th.
Ooh.
Yes. So that'll be great to learn from the other communities in the country and bring back knowledge.
Mhm.
So I'll share that with you on my return. And then lastly, I think that's lastly. No, I do have a couple more. This Thursday will be our first Business Advisory Board meeting. September 21st, 6 p.m. here at the Commission's conference room. So that will be our first meeting. We'll mainly discuss business items. So please come out. We have that publicized, and that will be great. I'm excited to connect with all the new members. We've been waiting for this moment, right? And lastly, this Thursday also, I will be interviewing 5 candidates for the assistant city manager's position.
All right.
Yes. So we'll see who will be the next assistant city manager.
Thank you. That's it.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Thursday, there's also for the public, the Department of Transportation is having a Zoom workshop from 5 to 6, and then an in-person workshop here regarding the improvements to the 6th Avenue South 95 exit and entrance. So if you have an interest in that, of course, we can certainly tell them what we'd like. What I'm going to do, and I've told folks already this, I want our entrance there to look beautiful and full of trees and landscaping. And we're going to talk about that, we will have to, I've asked already, we will have to contribute to that, but it's just 6th Avenue South is just a little bleak when you get off there. So hope to see you there on Thursday. Mr. Attorney, do you have a report?
Only that, as you mentioned, the legislature continues to just give the love to the cities, and his latest gift was that Form 6 requirement. So we'll be doing a presentation on that next meeting, which is a really extensive financial reporting requirement by anybody that's in office as of December 31st of this year.
So you'll do a presentation here?
Yeah, I'll do the presentation. It'll be on next,
Meeting and a-
yeah, it'll be on the agenda for October 3rd.
Okay. Just real briefly what that is, we have to fill out a form every year, like our interests, financial interests. The legislature has a much more detailed one and they feel, well, we have to do. Well, if we have to do it, you have to do it. And it's going to, people are already resigning, people with a certain amount of wealth that don't want to disclose it. They're going to have trouble with getting people to run in Jupiter Inlet is going to have a problem. I think the mayor's resigning. So it's, I want to say, look, I will trade you. If we have to do Form 6, you get the sunshine
I
law.
was just gonna say that, like, what's good
Yeah.
for us, right?
Right, they are exempt from they exempt themselves from the sunshine law. But one thing the supervisor of elections, this will be more fully discussed next week, has done is even though she's decided in the past that they're not able to put anything else on the March ballot,
Mhm.
they are creating an exception for this exact thing. If people are resigning and need to qualify and have a special election in March, so that'll be part of the presentation because you're right. We have several cities where people have already announced they're going to be resigning. And there's a question, will they have a quorum to continue to transact business? So
So you're all going to get to know our detailed financial poverty. Just kidding. Okay, now
That's
we
all.
have not, oh, we have more cards. Yeah, it's real intrusive, that thing. It's a shame. Okay, no agenda. No agenda. No agenda. No agenda. And non-agendas. So we have quite a few. Ms. Fisher, you're up first. Followed by Mr. Richter. And on deck is Todd Velez.
Peggy Fisher, A Street, Lake Worth Beach. Thank you to the mayor for reading the Constitution Proclamation. Something that important should be on the actual agenda, and I was going to read it if nobody else there did anything with it. Playground equipment. Playground equipment, according to staff, lasts 10 to 12 years unless it's on the beach, and then it lasts a lot longer. And we've got estimates in the budget for $150,000 for new playground equipment for various parks and for a new place. So that is more than the cost to put fence around IA Banks Cemetery. Doesn't last as long. In fact, it's less than 2 years, twice as long. And so I think if we're going to use length of time for items, we need to look at all the items we're talking about and whether they're really needed. I've heard a lot of comments from College Park area about whether or not they really want playground equipment in Spillway Park. I don't live in that area, but I think there should be a pretty strong consensus of people who are in the northern part. And I will be in district, or I am in District 3. So it is part of the district I'm in now. I thank you, Mayor, for bringing up once again, her. It was last brought up at a pre-agenda meeting, and you are absolutely correct that you were told, I am not going to talk about that anymore. We had a workshop, which means no public comment when you do a workshop. So there were no public people being able to say anything about their thoughts, anything else. And then the next time it was brought up, I'm not going to talk about it. That's your job. Your job is to talk about it. Your job is to talk when you are all 5 together and not have a little, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want it. I didn't say who said it. You can go back to the pre-agenda meetings. They're on the record. You can see it for yourself. There were other people who concurred with that. You can see that too. So I do think that constituents of the city have a right to expect you all to discuss items such as this with the constituents. Same goes for short-term rentals, which has been floating out there. And I will also say that it's discouraging to watch you all pass ordinances and put in new laws that take for over a year or almost a year to have any signage, any push anything else when laws that were passed almost 3 months later got pushed and pushed and pushed by certain individuals and signs immediately up. So I think it needs to be, if you pass something, it needs to be addressed, not put on a back burner because someone doesn't like it, whoever that person may be.
Thank you, that's time.
Mr. Richter, and up next, Todd Velez. And after Mr. Velez, Todd Towns, it's the Todds, Todd Towns.
Good evening. Greg Richter, 1202 South Palmway. I wasn't going to talk about turf, but one thing,
Oh,
Peggy,
wait a minute.
What?
Do you have 2 cards?
yeah, I have
Okay.
for other stuff. This is not an agenda item.
Okay,
I wasn't going to talk about, other than Peggy mentioned one thing. We didn't have one meeting with public participation on this subject. That's the only thing I ask. Not going to say one way or another, whether I'm for it or not, but we should have public participation before making a decision like that. So anyway, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm actually here for tonight as president of South Palm Park Neighborhood Association, and I came here to thank you all for the last meeting voting for our pump out station on 18 South. I don't know if you all recall your first meeting, the 4 of you. I came to you and we were at the deadline for the grant and you all were like, well, we haven't really looked, and you went with it. And I appreciated you doing it. And Ronaldo did a great job, I know, in following up and making this thing happen. So I really appreciate your all support, and my neighbors will hopefully get rid of their sandbags next year. And that'll be great.
I want to pass them on to another neighborhood.
Okay, yeah, well, we maybe need them on 12th after the other day. I was waiting for a gondola to go float by my front gate.
Even this afternoon, it was.
Yeah, but also, I also wanted to recognize Commissioner Stokes and congratulate her on your effort on the Recovery Hub. I know it was very important to you. I think it's a great thing to have in Lake Worth Beach, and great job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richter. Mr. Velez? After Mr. Velez, Mr. Townsend, and then Adrian Copeland.
Todd Velez, 530 North G. Pumpkins for pottage and pudding and custards and pie. Our pumpkins and parsnips are common supplies. We have pumpkins in the morning and pumpkins at noon. If it were not for the pumpkins, we would be undoomed. That's 1600s pilgrims. I'm sure the Daughters of Revolution would appreciate that. So where is the pumpkin patch going? Well, the downtown location, the one-way streets are kind of a tough subject for the approaching 50 years with the Pumpkin Patch organization, which would be back at our Savior Lutheran Church or First Nazarene. First Nazarene's having a September 21st, 22nd, 23rd big event, more in-house. So I'm sure the big wigs here in town and the grand poobahs of the Habitat of Humanity will be letting you guys know and having something there. And if you want to tour the property, see Pastor Donna of that church. If Canada is called America Junior, then would Lantana and Palm Springs be Lake Worth Junior? I'm sure the towns would beg to differ, but we're so happy. We're such a happening place, as the Supreme song suggests. They'll be hosting the Pumpkin Patch. That's Advent, Living Word, Proclaim, all the same church, 2100 block of Lantana Road. And there'll be about 3 weeks. And Pastor Will is the new pastor there. The Pumpkin Patch also next year will be at Bethel Assembly of God on South Congress, 2024. They like to follow a schedule. Lake Osborne Presbyterian Church is on 6th Avenue South, but the road's a wreck, so it's down to a trickle. And we, as you've heard, the 24th, April 2024 is the projected, but they've moved finish date, and they've moved 24-hour occasionally. So it's nice to have the South Lane, the bridges about, the ramps are done. And plus they have check, C period H period E period C period. Check that out. And that's a new school there. Said sincerely, those who run against attack, they rue the day that they run against attack of the 50-foot woman mayor. And we hope you see you in March. That's said with love.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Townsend. And Adrian at the back. And Sam at the back. Sam Whitaker.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see everybody tonight. Is this thing on? Yes, it is. Okay, so I've just delivered some papers up here to our commission.
Name and address.
My name is Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. I just wanted to talk about the Brightline Station, which is going to eventually come to our town. So the first thing is that we have to remember that at the transportation meeting, it was said, build your downtown for activity, build your living quarters around it, and that's what makes your mass transit work, okay? So the train station that you see within the red line on the paper that you've just been delivered is the train station 2 scale at West Palm Beach Brightline. So that's the exact shape of theirs, but the one block is a little switched there. But it takes up quite a bit of space, and this space that I have it here is the only accessible space in downtown Lake Worth. And so we'd have our train station right downtown, pretty much on Lake Avenue, and that's going to benefit us greatly. So we should build that downtown, and then build the affordable housing surrounding our downtown. Okay, so we really need the train station downtown. We want to build affordable housing. There's plenty of places to do that if you just go out and look. So this is going to save the big faux pas that is the parking garage that I've been watching ever since I had a really good meeting with the CRA, who I really like now. That parking garage is barely used. There's like so many spaces that are not used. People that live in the Bohemian, they're packed into their little area, and then on the very top of the garage, how it goes like this. That top area is wide open. There's a very few cars that use that. That's good enough for the overspill for them. So essentially, if we put our train station right there, we can now use that parking garage as part of our train station. We'd probably have to build one more layer on top of it, so that we could just lift everything up a level and then have a lot of spaces for the train station. So the parking garage is now attached to the train station. There's only one cold purchase to buy out of this. Everything is for sale for the space. Like I said, you can't find this kind of space anywhere else. That one cold purchase place is a storage facility. I've got the entire record of it since it was built and sold for $1,000 in 1969. And so it's not going to be like, if we try to purchase that, it's not going to be like we're trying to buy anybody's heart and soul and buy their home. You know what I'm saying? So that would make a really good purchase. And I really think we should do that. And that's all I had to say. So thank you very much.
Todd, by the way, I park at that parking garage. That's where my truck is.
Okay. Well, you're the only one. Hey, right. So let's do this for our community. So thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Adrian Copeland, and then Sam Winikoff, and then Ramsey McLeod. And I think that's it.
Good evening, Adrian Copeland, North Palm Way. Where are our police? Why have they been unresponsive? Perhaps not for you, Commissioner Diaz, where you live, when you stated last week that you have such a great police presence, because in your district, the one you're supposed to represent, we do not. We have zero police presence. We have zero road patrols at this time. Where have they gone? Why do we no longer have them? Calls for service are up 200%, according to my recent Ring safety report. Proof is on my phone if you'd like to see it. This is akin to defunding the police, is it not? When numerous calls are made and the police do not respond. Just last week, a business owner downtown called as a man lies splayed out on the ground, not knowing whether he was dead or alive, with no police response. And to defer this new no responsiveness archetype to try and protect the cemetery, really? I mean, aren't you the police's employer, and aren't our tax dollars being used to pay the police? This new unresponsive policy is not keeping us, your tax-paying constituents, safe, nor is it keeping our cemeteries safe. I've got news for you. The majority of you, it is not your duty to spew your political biases from the dais and seemingly operate
your decision-making based upon them. They do not promote prosperity or safety to us, your tax-paying constituents, nor do they promote safety to the cemetery. We need our road patrols back in force. And for the record, Commissioner McVoy, the Maui wildfires were not caused by global warming. No. In fact, Hawaii Electric has admitted its main power lines caused them. So please stop spewing misinformation from the dais and your political agendas. It is not your duty. Do you want to know what is your duty? We are your tax-paying constituents, and we need our road patrols back. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Sam Winkoff.
Good evening, everyone. Sam Winikoff, 602 South Federal Highway. I'm a board member for the Pineapple Village North Town Home Association. It's on that corner of 6th and Federal. I wanted to address tonight a matter of growing concern with our community, and that is the city's proposed changes for our garbage collection services. So I wanted to begin by underscoring that our current method of trash collection is that the city comes in and picks up 4 community-wide receptacles that are in a communal trash pad on our common area, and that's how they're emptied. That's been in place since our association was formed. It's not only part of the original construction, but it received the city's approval as part of the association's site plan when we were developed. So frankly, any unilateral deviation from this plan without the consent of the association is fundamentally and legally impermissible. Beyond that, the city's recent proposal outlines changes such as assigning residential unit responsibility for their own garbage cart, placing these carts on 6th Avenue South for collection, basically right at the corner, and altering the billing methods. However, we believe that these proposed changes raise critical concerns. They not only veer away from our longstanding and approved trash removal plan, but also pose practical issues that can't be overlooked. For instance, the placement of up to 16 trash bins on 6th Avenue South and Federal on the corner there not only impacts pedestrian right of way, but also adds to an already unsafe driving condition at that intersection, which we all know has experienced numerous accidents. It's an extremely dangerous intersection. The proposal will also, frankly, blight our community and the city, creating a situation where trash cans are basically left out in the middle of the street or on the sidewalk on 6th Avenue all day, blocking right of way for pedestrians, for traffic if they're in the street, and creating, again, an even more dangerous traffic situation. So furthermore, it's frankly, it's just perplexing that while the city intends for us to place our trash bins outside the community, they still plan to service our recycling from inside the community, and will also permit residents to opt in for pull-out service for their trash. So some residents may agree to do this, others may not. What's certain is that either way, it would actually increase the workload for city workers. And it would create a situation where the city's collecting trash from the curbside and also from inside our neighborhood, which seems to just frankly not make any sense. And there are going to be 4 times as many bins that the community already has. So it just is a lot more work for the city. These points raise questions about whether this change is primarily motivated by revenue rather than improvement of services for our community. Our association considers it improper and impermissible for the city to unilaterally deviate from the approved trash plan that has served us since our community's inception. If it's indeed a revenue issue, we want to make clear that we are willing to work with the city to work out an equitable outcome.
Thank you, that's time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winikoff. We've gotten quite a few emails about it. Last but not least, Ramsey McLeod.
Good evening, Ramsey McLeod, 24 South C Street. The voting residents in this city put each of you on this dais based on promises you made to represent us and allow us our voices to be heard, listened to, and action taken accordingly. Things not provided by the last group of individuals sitting in your places. However, it now appears only a small number of you are willing to fulfill the wishes of the citizens. You have sought input and guidance from residents when making important decisions, and we have responded. For the most part, you have given great weight to our input when making decisions and taking actions. However, after 3.5+ years and to date 6 budget meetings so far, Commissioner Stokes, you're taking a stance with support from 2 other commissioners to hold $3 million+ of ARPA funding hostage for an unknown reason. We have lost thousands of dollars due to your continued delaying tactics and increasing costs to complete projects. A clear sign of fiscal malfeasance on you and your collaborators' parts. Therefore, I am requesting that you disclose tonight or at the next public budget hearing what it is that you have discovered that is of greater and higher value to every resident in our city than the infrastructure recommendations provided. Your continued defiant announcements at city meetings of what you will not do is only creating hostility and showing us that you are not willing to work with others in the best interests of all residents of our city, as you promised you would. Actions speak louder than words. They give substance to your words and validate their meaning.
Thank you. And that's it for public comment. Now we're going
Madam
on.
Mayor,
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot about you. I know we have some public
I won't be insulted. Yes, I have 3 public comments.
Thank you.
The first is from Ramsey Stevens, 618 South K Street. Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, I am disappointed to learn that the city is planning to require the Pineapple Village townhomes to locate their refuse on 6th Avenue South for pickup going forward. This is a completely impractical decision that will adversely affect the quality of life, walkability, vehicular safety, and persistent litter issues throughout the 6th Avenue corridor. The south side of our city is already struggling enough to maintain an equitable quality of life for all our residents. The city should be prioritizing how to make 6th Avenue South a safer, greener, and cleaner environment using the unique resources that only it can provide, like better refuse management. This proposal would do the exact opposite and just further exacerbate the existing disparities between the south side and other parts of the city. Anthony Austin, 602 South Federal Highway, Unit 1. To the Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, thank you all for your time and efforts toward the Lake Worth Beach community. This letter is specifically related to the Pineapple Village North community located at 602 South Federal Highway. The issue at hand is that the city's Assistant Public Works Director, Michael Pierce, has used his authority to overturn the initial garbage collection contract that our community has had from its inception with the city. The new mandate is without logistical consideration for both those within and without the community of Pineapple Village North. Pineapple Village North has 16 homes that use 4 large receptacles that are in a centralized location of the property. These receptacles are pulled out and returned by the workers on the respective garbage day. The change imposed will force each home to have an individual city garbage container that would have to be placed along 6th Avenue South. There are a plethora of issues with this. Primarily, our units aren't designed to house these imposed garbage containers anywhere. 1, Pineapple Village North garages were designed to fit 1 vehicle. There is very little room for anything else. 2, Pineapple Village North home entries are gated. Being quaintly designed, there is a short paver experience leading up to 2 stairs that won't house a city receptacle. 3, 6th Avenue South cannot contain all 16 receptacles safely. Pineapple Village North is located at the intersection of 6th Avenue South and Federal Highway. Our intersection is met with accidents on a regular basis. With an overpopulation of 16 receptacles on that already extremely high-risk street and intersection, pedestrians will be without safe walking space and vehicles will have additional obstacles. The logistics of this new mandate are disadvantageous to every person that partakes in life within the Pineapple Village North community and to every person that either drives, walks, or lives by 6th Avenue South and Federal Highway. This decision was made without consideration to the value of life to our residents, as well as the contractual agreement made with the city at the inception of our community. Additionally, the logistics of this change puts an unnecessary strain on city workers. They have to be prepared to go into Pineapple Village North for pull-out service for those who choose it, while also being committed to what receptacles would be lined up on 6th Avenue South. We are committed to adding value to our beloved Lake Worth Beach. Pineapple Village North doesn't want to be the reason for more accidents at the intersection or for placing pedestrians at risk due to no walking space or for city workers to be heavily laden. Our community deserves the right to maintain the receptacle service that has already been approved and accepted by the city of Lake Worth Beach. Thank you, and please reconsider these changes. Alice Mendez, 602 South Federal Highway, Unit 15. Good evening, neighbors. Let me start by saying I just moved into this community and I've been a resident of Florida for 69 years, looking to settle into Lake Worth Beach. It has come to my attention as recently as today that the city has a plan to change the way our garbage is being picked up in our community. The plan that has been proposed is that everybody should pull their garbage cans out, which makes 16 garbage cans to the east of our community gate. The most alarming part to me for all of this is that my townhouse sits directly east of the community gate. So I will have 16 garbage cans lined up in front of my house twice a week, all day, until people come home and decide to put them away. It is unfortunate that we have a lot of renters in our community as well, who already do not respect the garbage rules. My belief is that this will make the area look blighted and will bring the property values down instead of up. I hope you will consider the situation. It just does not seem feasible in my opinion. Thank you so much. That's the last public participation comment.
Thank you very much. We're moving on now to the approval of minutes.
Mayor, I know that we don't normally address public
I'm
comment.
sorry, could we have our mic on, Vice Mayor?
Madam Mayor, I know that we don't normally address public comment, but this issue of a change in policy with a specific area.
We don't.
Give a little direction to the city manager that please look into this and.
What?
try to resolve it quickly.
What are you talking about?
The Pineapple
Of
Village.
course, just she's taking notes. That's what she does. Yeah, thank you.
And with that,
Okay, so a motion to approve the consent agenda.
motion to approve if Melissa has made that there's changes that needed to be made.
Yes, actually, Madam Mayor, we're on the minutes.
Oh,
And I have made the corrections. Thank you, Commissioner Maliga, for having a better eagle eye than I do.
she's good. She's good. She keeps us all in line. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
With that motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now the consent agenda and the changes that were necessary have been made, ma'am? Is that, I don't really know what you're talking about. Oh, okay, okay,
Some typos.
okay. So the consent agenda, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Aye. Okey doke. Now, public hearings. This is ordinance number 2023-10, second reading. Mr. Attorney, would you read the title?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 2023-10 of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending the city's comprehensive plan, adding a new property rights element as required by Florida statute 163.3177, 6, I, providing that conflicting ordinances are repealed, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, thank you. B, ordinance number 23-17. Do you want to do them separately? There's two of them. Let's do them separately.
Okay. Ordinance number 2023-17 of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map from the zoning district of mixed use, Dixie Highway, MUDH, to transit oriented development, east, TODE, on property generally located at the northeast corner of South Dixie Highway and 9th Avenue at 821 South Dixie Highway, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, and providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
If I may interrupt, that's in the wrong order. We have to do the future land use change first before we can do the rezoning.
Well. So which one? So what did we do wrong?
All
We
right,
have
I'll-
to
You
do
should do the other ordinance first.
just six,
So we should
18?
reorder.
All right, I will read.
No. So 2023-18 is first.
We just did, So we have the 18
Number
first, even-
17 comes before 18. So confused.
Okay, so we just passed 17, but
No,
we're not.
You
Oh,
didn't vote on
we
17
didn't
yet,
get
so
there. Okay, so let's 18.
I'll read 18. And then I can read 17 again if you want. 18.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 2023-18 of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending the city's comprehensive plan future land use map through a small scale map amendment from the future land use FLU designation of mixed use east MUE to the transit oriented development TOD FLU designation on property generally located at the northwest corner of South Dixie Highway and 9th Avenue, generally located at 821 South Dixie Highway, more particularly described in Exhibit A, providing that conflicting ordinance of repeal, severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Now we're going to go back and do 17.
Do you want me to read it again?
No, we didn't do it apparently.
All right.
You read it, though.
I read
You
it
read-
before. I reckon.
Oh, you read it already.
I can read it backwards this time.
Second, you have to.
Do you have to read it again? No.
I don't,
I don't.
it's been read.
I read it already.
Motion for Commissioner Leggett. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Item C, which is ordinance 23-16. Again, a second reading. Please read by title.
Ordinance number 2023-16 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending the official zoning map by approving the creation of a residential plan development district located at the northwest corner of South Dixie Highway and 9th Avenue South to construct two 6-story multifamily buildings containing a total of 176 dwelling units, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, located within the Transit-Oriented Development East TODE zoning district with the future land use designation of Transit-Oriented Development TOD, subject to specific development standards set forth in Exhibit B and conditions of approval set forth in Exhibit C. Approving a development of significant impact, approving a conditional use permit, approving a height density and intensity bonus incentive through the city's sustainable bonus incentive program, transfer of development right program, and affordable workforce housing program. Approving a major site plan for the development of a residential plan development, approving a right-of-way abandonment, severability conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you so much.
All in one breath, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on this issue, on this item?
Yes, I have two public comments.
Okay, so let's have, wait. Let's have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All, public comment?
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Stokes.
Thank you. So I have one gentleman who is going to read his own comments. Mr. Milage, are you there?
Mr. Milage?
Mr. Milage? He's on here twice, so
Oh. Is there another one we could maybe read in the meantime?
sure. The other comment, the second comment I have is from Erin Allen, 208 South Lakeside Drive, apartment 513. I am pleased to see that the Madison Terrace project is moving along. There is such a critical need for affordable 55+ housing. This project will be a wonderful addition to the town. The denser this project, the more people it can reach and serve. It would be consistent to not charge the developer for this higher density, since it is fulfilling a housing void. Our goal here is to build affordable housing. Please keep on task.
Thank you.
Milage, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So, hello, everyone. This is Giuseppe Milage.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, I'm at 812 South J Street, Lake Worth Beach, Florida, 33460. That's approximately 50 feet from the affected party project, Palm Beach zoning project. You know what it is, the Terrace Madison Trace. So it seems that I don't understand. Nobody wishes to hear my concern. I had asked everyone to include me as an affected party, but evidently it wasn't possible. The property it's just a few feet away. Mine's is just a few feet away from the development site, which is deficient in parking, and the setbacks are oppressive. My question to everyone is where and how do I include my opposition to this? This is a disastrous project. Please forward this opposition to as an official protest, Madison Trace project. My hope is that the developers, the commission members, and all the city of Lake Worth Beach officials recognize the need for sufficient parking and appropriate setbacks in the affected area. You're amending ordinances, you're changing zoning. This entire project is wrapped around a lone single-family property. I mean, I'm sure everyone can put their heads together and think of something more appropriate. I mean, there is just tons of property everywhere. Why are you just overdeveloping on just 5 little single lots? I mean, everyone can think of something. I mean, this is a significant impact project. Please think of something better. Provide additional parking spaces and maybe ease on the setbacks. Maybe conditional parking spaces, which can be converted into parks in the future. You get the idea. Please put your heads together. You can think of something better than this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okey doke. We have a motion and a chat. We have a public comment. Nobody here wants to comment on it. You have a card on this?
Yep. But I like where this is going, so we don't need to go.
But I don't see, wait a minute.
We had 2 earlier, remember?
Yeah, but the other
We had
one,
to swap them out.
yes, but the other one is
Something else.
about the substation.
Okay, I thought I had one on this one, but you guys are doing good.
Yeah.
Go.
Thank you for your approval, Mr. Richard. We appreciate it very much. I live for that approval. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you just had to. So,
Madam Mayor,
oh, I see you have one now.
when we brought this forward, there was a huge ask of over $600,000 to be waived. And looking at the conditional approval, it says the city commission unanimously approved the proposed project at their August 15th meeting. On the first reading, included in the motion was the direction to modify the conditions of approval related to the TRD and the Sustainable Bonus Incentive Program fee payments to allow for the TDR fees of $151,947.90 to be waived, which I agree. But also to allow the applicant to request a reduction in waiving the fees of $460,000. I don't believe that we agreed to waiving.
I see Mr. Waters approaching the
What we
microphone.
did was ask that, and the commission seemed to approve this, is have the developer come back at a later time, and he had the right to ask for a waiver, but the commission still had to consider it. They're not waived. It's provided there. Since we didn't want to make a decision fully on the sustainable bonus, you wanted to see a pro forma or know more about the project later at the time of either permit issuance or CO, where he could come back and ask you for a waiver of a portion of it, or waiving of all of it, or whatever. And that was how the conditions of approval were written that way.
Okay, I was hard no on any sustainable bonus, and I think that we could go back and watch it, and he's shaking his head yes. But as far as I'm concerned, the forgiveness of 151,000 and change was, as far as, that's all I was in favor of. And I'm not going to speak for the rest of my colleagues, but I know that we dissected it pretty hard. And I just want to make sure that this isn't set in stone. If it's something that everybody else is comfortable with to ask potentially in the future, I think it's a great project. I mean, I've vocalized it since day one, but I've been involved with this project and there was never an ask up front. So again, I want to go on the record for saying I am not in favor of waiving the sustainable bonus of any sort on this project. So that's, I just want to be clear that it's in there, it's in the language, and I know that we talked about it as a commission. And I am in favor of the TDR waiver, but I don't think I'd be interested in entertaining the additional 460,000. Our city needs every dime we can get right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Stokes?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, I agree. If they can afford to pay, we definitely want to have it. My understanding was that they're not guaranteed to get those tax credits this year. So they have to apply for it this year. And if they don't get it, they're going to go back and apply the next year and then keep applying until they get it. And by that time, if costs go up and their projects can't go on, if it's like $100,000 or they have to walk, like they should definitely be able to come back, I think, to that. Whoever that commission is to say, look, here's the situation we applied for. It took us 3 years to get these credits. We just need that extra 100,000 to get us over the finish line.
I guess that's my question. Like, what is the time frame then? That
It's unknown.
Yeah,
well,
it's unknown.
But I'm saying, could it be 3 years from now, 5 years from now? I mean, is it?
Okay.
Well, I can answer part of it.
Yeah,
Under our code, the project has an entitlement life of basically 4 years before it has to have a permit issued. Otherwise, it's got to come back for some sort of other approval to be extended, which we come to you.
Okay, which would protect us from land banking as well. That was another concern in the back I had with this condition in there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak.
you gotta watch that. You took your light off.
I guess I can make it quick because William answered most of it, but I do remember it that way as well. We weren't, I think, at least for myself, I wasn't giving a hard no. I think we were all leaning towards obviously not giving away that much money, but we were given, I think we were being a little bit generous, and we're giving an opportunity to come back at a later date, show us the financials, so show us the numbers, and if it really is that desperate, maybe we're in a better financial situation. But I don't think we're not committing to that money or even hinting at it, but we're also not closing the door just yet.
Well, now that you inherited that part, and that's now your district, I'm gonna hold you to keeping up with it.
All right. And as far as I'm concerned with the money, I mean, we haven't committed to it, but I'm willing to put money towards the living as well as those who have passed. And this is such an important project to our city. 194 units, low affordables, 76, I lied. 176, 176 affordable senior housing units in our city is such an important thing. So I will be very happy to listen to what they need when the time comes. So I have a motion, I have a second. Do I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. And good luck.
Can I say something?
Sure, you got a minute.
Thank you.
You got 30 seconds.
So. I don't think that who seconded it.
I don't know. You moved it, right?
I did something.
I thought you did.
I might have seconded
Okay,
it.
real-
Okay, so Mike Oliver, 558 West New England Avenue, Winter Park, Florida. So our applications were due last Wednesday. Typically, it takes 2 to 3 weeks for them to come out with initial results. They came out Friday, and we actually do have the best number in Palm Beach County. So the scoring committee meets on October 10th. And, there could be a petition by another applicant, and they could find something wrong with their application. It's possible. It happens almost every year. We feel very confident. So it's really good news, frankly. With respect to the payment, I do agree with what you said. When I was here 3 or 4 weeks ago, that's kind of the way it went. And I know there was some kind of, well, we'll see how it goes. And frankly, we're happy to pay into this fund if we can afford to build the project. I think it's really good news that we're getting a good shot this year, because in 24 months, who knows how much, pricing can go up. And then the other part of it, though, is also this. Phase 2 will apply next year. If this does go through this year, we will apply next year and every year after. The land price on that piece is $800,000 less than the first phase. It's just the way the contract was written. And maybe it's something I come back and I say, guys, we can pay maybe some this year, and maybe the next phase we can even pay more. I don't know. It's, but we're here to work with you guys. We appreciate all of your support. And I've got my fingers crossed for success this year.
Is there anything we can do, a letter, any kind of support that we can do to the committee above?
No. They just have to do their scoring and
Well, you
put
said a
in.
petition.
Well, what happens is applicants, maybe the guys that are right behind us with the second best lottery number, sometimes they do come out and try to find a discrepancy in our application. And that's what we got to wait and see. If they can find it or not.
So when will we find out?
Well, that'll be
October 10th? Committee meeting?
October 10th is when the staff scores every application,
Okay.
and then there's a petition period.
Then we can do something?
Well, then there's a petition. Maybe I'll let you know. But I think Joan will be getting with you about
Okay.
some kind of interlocal,
Okay.
because that'll be kind of important to do an interlocal,
Mhm.
so that the funds
commitment.
pass through the city.
Okay.
But we'll get with you soon on that. So,
luck.
yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okey doke.
Madam Mayor, just so you know, the vice mayor made the motion and Commissioner Stokes seconded it.
Oh, they did do
So close.
Do you have any blue cards on this one?
We did it.
We did it already. Okay. Good. Yeah, we did it already. That's right. We're gonna take a 5-minute, 7-minute break. We'll be right back.
Madam Mayor, at 7:41, are you ready to resume? Can you please unmute?
And this is from the Leisure Services Department, a contract with Oceanside Beach Services for
I'm
beach.
sorry, Madam Mayor, we've moved item C to item A.
We did. We did.
So we're doing the 6th Avenue South substation.
You're keeping me on my toes tonight. Okay. 6th Avenue, all right. 6th Avenue South Substation Property Exchange. Mr. Liberty, you're up. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, Vice Mayor. For the record, Ed Liberty, Electric Utility Director. This is an item which we've brought back a number of times for various pieces of the project. It's been in discussion at least since my arrival 6 years ago, the concept of moving to another property, although in all fairness, the System Hardening and Reliability Improvement Project, which this is a part of, was not created until sometime in 2018. So building a new substation, as a matter of fact, rebuilding all of the city substations has been a key element of the turnaround of our reliability of our electric utility. One of the problems that we have is we're trying to build new substations without acquiring necessarily new properties. Otherwise, having to build exactly where we are. So we have to figure out a way to build around something that's energized at 26,000 volts or 4,000 volts. And that's obviously very, very difficult to do. In this particular case, the CRA came to us with a concept to consider relocating and moving to an alternate piece of property, something that we worked with them over a number of years and then looked at a number of different properties as an alternate to building on this existing site. The option which made the most sense from a geometry point of view, meaning that the physical property had the geometric parameters that allowed us to site a substation on it. And it was only one block south of where we are today. And it allowed us to pick up the feeders coming in and the feeders going out, the circuits feeding the customers and the supply station very, very easily. The developer, which is Dixie Capital, when the CRA offered this lot, which is 706 and 710 as an alternative site. We evaluated that and went through the zoning changes to change it from mixed use to public use. That was done successfully. You all approved that some time ago. And here we are with the final approval to actually transfer the properties.
Great.
What this document would allow us to do, this agreement would allow us to do is we would take possession of the 706 and 710 lots, which the developer has already cleared of all structures at the developer's own cost. And we would begin construction there. We have material on order. We've done the engineering work necessary. Obviously, the zoning changes happen. And then we would also install a temporary transformer on the 702 South 8th Street lot, which is a lot which would remain under the ownership of the developer, but allow us as a site a temporary, what we call a pad mount transformer there. So some of the customers who are fed from the existing 6th Avenue South substation would be fed from this temporary transformer to maintain service to them while we continue to do further field work. And other customers would be relocated to move to other circuits. When we're all done building on the new site, by then we will have completely backed out of the old site. In order for us to back out of the old site, first we have to, kill it electrically and then remove everything that is there, including that large transformer, and excavate the foundations from that have been there. The city acquired the property, I believe, in the 1960s. So that transformer and other oil-filled equipment has been in service there since either the late 1960s or certainly around 1970 timeframe. So we'll do a remediation of that site to remove everything above ground and below ground. So whether we stay on the site or leave the site, we need to go ahead and do that remediation and remove all that stuff to build on it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been discussing this project for many long time. Yeah.
Yes.
This is no
Yep.
surprise. Okay.
Yep.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion, but I do have a question.
Oh, yeah, we can discuss it.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? No, but by Vice Mayor McBoyd. Okay, let's open a discussion. Ms. Malega, you were up first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My only concern is I didn't see anything in the contract that states the 702 address. I see where it says what we're paying. The $1,500 a month or $18,000 a year until the exchange is complete. But I didn't see any reference to the 702 address in the contract. Do do we have to, should that be spelled out that we're, because I mean, I see the dollar amount, but I just didn't see a reference to the actual property address.
I'm looking for it right now.
I'm not trying to do an I gotcha. I just wanted to.
No,
make
no,
sure
I know
that
you never
we're
do.
Signing that we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's. Otherwise, I'm good.
And just to clarify, it's a good question, and our city attorney will take a look for that specific reference. Again, we are not acquiring 702.
Right.
We're just paying for a piece of that property, the site just temporary transform, which is
Say it in here.
It
Just,
says another property.
it just says another property with no.
yeah, it's the 702 property, and I believe the contract might even have sections that have an aerial view of the property when the mark out is to the area where this transformer is going to be on the property.
So could we be more specific on the contract?
If it's not, we can add that.
So if we can do that amend that. we
Yes.
can approve, so that would be an approval by amendment, approving the amended.
I'll change my motion to approve with the amended 702 listed as the property that we're paying the $1,500 a month for.
Okay, Commissioner, Vice Mayor, would you agree with that?
My second to.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. McBoy, you're up.
This is great. I love the idea that you can build a new and not have to be in the hair of the old. I'm all for it. The only question I have, and I don't know whether it's for Director Liberty or for the attorney, but as we eventually move off of the current property, is there anything in our arrangements or contracts in the land swap that says anything about how soon the developer will do something with that then vacant property?
I don't
We have
believe
an issue sometimes, especially on the south side of town, we've had an issue with land just sitting empty for long periods, which isn't a great situation. So I'm
Yeah,
curious, is there anything that,
No, there's not. But let me go back to Commissioner Maliga. That 702 is on page 5.
Oh.
On 4.2 at the bottom of page 5 and going on to the top of page 6.
4.2.
So
Temporary
we don't
use.
need to amend it. So take back that amendment.
Take back my amendment, but I think to answer Commissioner McBoy's question, it does say November 30th, 2024.
That's when they need to move forward, but there's no completion date.
Yeah, once he owns it.
Will be completed no longer than that.
That's when we'll,
That's
that's when we're going to
here
be,
in 2 months from now.
that's for us completing?
that's for us to be completed.
Right, that's for us to be completely off the existing site, which is 610 South H. And that's made possible by this temporary transformer, which we're going to site on the 702 lot. Without that, we could not leave that site for probably another year.
Right. Okay.
So,
Roughly speaking, without looking in detail at the project schedule, but it would hold us up a little bit longer.
so the concern that I'm raising doesn't have anything to do with us other than it doesn't begin until we're off. But we will be off in the time, no reason we're going to solve things.
Right.
The question is, since we're doing a swap of public land, do we want in some fashion to put some encouragement in there that the developer who will gain this empty lot on 6th Avenue will,
Can you turn on your mic, Vice Mayor?
it is, I just need to talk into it more like
There
this.
you go.
Would it be wise on our part to put some form of encouragement in there that the developer will do something in a reasonable timeframe?
It might be wise, but I don't think they would agree to that. But I also think that they're very motivated to do something there in the time frame. I don't think they have any desire to keep that property vacant. They want to develop it. And I think they've been meeting with William on different concepts to develop it. So I've not got any sense during this whole time that they want to drag their feet. Do you?
I don't have a sense of William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. I think the concern, though, is that as interest rates rise and the fluctuation in development costs are a little uncertain, I think that's one reason why we have a lot of projects that are on hold right now that have already been entitled. We have met with, I don't know Vito's last name, it's just left me, on Gino for the past 5 years. And I think we looked at 4 or 5 different concepts. The last one we reviewed, and Mr. Liberty was there, was maybe 4 weeks ago. And it was pretty far along with a 2-phase project of housing that would have some modicum of workforce affordable housing. But we had given him the contact information for the affordable housing program to the county, as well as explain the live local option, and then how our affordable housing program would affect that project. Because we've actually significantly changed the LDRs since he first came to visit the city. We now have the half payment for sustainable bonus. We have the building and site qualitative standards and performance standards for the building itself. And then we also have the affordable housing requirement if he chooses to go above 2 stories. So he's factoring all that in, but we based on the team that was at the meeting, he is expending money to move forward to an entitlement application.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes.
William actually kind of just answered it. Because, the contract gives us a due date, if you will, next year, September 30th, but to Vice Mayor McVoy's point, nothing is delaying the progress on the other stuff that's happening, and things are on order for the substation. So I think it's exciting to finally, so this is like the last piece of the puzzle, right? Now you just got to do the work. So looking forward to hearing what will be proposed in place there when the time is right.
Have you met with him?
Not yet.
Okay, I have. And, when we spoke, he really had ideas, and it was pretty interesting stuff he was talking about. Okay, Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment on this?
I have one comment.
Okay.
Erin Allen, 208 South Lakeside Drive, apartment 513. This project has been a long time in the making and is sorely needed for one of our gateways to the city. This will help clean up the area. 6th and 10th Avenues are the front doors to the city. Let's help to put them in their best light and pass this. That's the only comment.
Thank you. I have 2, Greg Richter and Peggy Fisher.
Greg Richter, 1202 South Palmway. Like some of the other comments, I really would like to see this happen. Would like, as Ms. Allen just said, this is the gateway to our city. I live on the south end, the much neglected south end. And tonight has been really encouraging to hear both the Madison Terrace and this possible, on this land swap and development, something in the 6.5 years that I've been here, other than the Dunkin' Donuts, that's all we've had down on our end of the city. And I'm really excited that something like this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Fisher.
Peggy Fisher, 8th Street Beach. I concur with both Ms. Allen and Mr. Richter, and know that at some point Joan Leva mentioned something to me about the developer having ideas about what to put on this property and was looking forward to it. Again, it's been a long time coming, and maybe we can, if something else comes up along those lines, we could speed it up. And on a totally different subject, but since you all cannot see it, another accident.
It's the most amazing corner for that sort of.
Well,
I know the lights. We're working. On the
well,
lights.
one thing too is the coming west on Lucerne, there is a no right turn on red sign,
which
here, it is not up on the pole.
There never was one up.
Exactly.
I mean, there never was one, but we can certainly talk to DOT about having it. Thank you. Okay, we all. I know our city manager is just bubbling with enthusiasm about that. Yeah, we're working on it, seriously.
Apologies for this slipping my mind, but seeing Mr. Richter reminded me that I believe you asked a few months ago what was going on with this project. And so I was curious if we could just get an explanation. I think we had a late addition to a January agenda to ask us to give consensus to publish this and advertise it. And then it kind of just went away for 8 months and now it's back. So do we have it had nothing to do with us. So do we know what dragged this out so long from January to now? Yeah.
It was the work on the agreement with the developer, the counterparties going back and forth, and us refining our construction schedule, coming up with a plan for this temporary transformer, which was really a brainstorm by one of our engineers, Gene St. Simon, really gets the credit for that, to bring that idea to the table and say, wow, that changed things for us. And then the developer very graciously immediately agreeing to that. But just it's negotiation going back and forth and trying to get the best ultimate product for the public.
Thank you, Mr.
There's actually another little piece to it, is that there were existing code fines and liens on the property. And the city negotiated with the owner that they had to be all cleared up. And that's one reason why the buildings were torn down and all those liens were paid off and went to the magistrate before we could move the agreement forward. So that was all handled. So all the properties are clean and code issues resolved.
All right, great. Thank you.
Mr. McBoy?
We've talked mostly about what's going to happen on the freed up lot, but I think we ought to give a little shout out for the new substation. Isn't this the one that is going to get dropped in more or less pre-wired and is all enclosed, or am I mixing that up with one of the other ones?
No, your memory is correct. Our other substations are more of an open air design. This is going to be a metal clad building with the switchgear inside the building, which will give us a longer life for the asset. It'll be in a conditioned space, less susceptible to critters. There'll still be some outdoor equipment, but and it'll all be behind a wall like 7th Avenue North is. But
A pretty wall.
it's going to be a pretty wall, and we're open to suggestions on the murals. That's a community.
God.
That's a community. That's community. We're gonna. It'll have a some kind of a white wash on it. It'll blend in. But
Got to be partly electrics,
well, we're open for suggestions. But one of the things I feel very strongly about, and I've said this before, reinforcement. I don't want to see chain link fencing or barbed wire or ribbon wire or exactly. I want walls that blend into the community, and obviously it's a little bit of an industrial facility, but it's not going to be an onerous, ugly thing, at least not from an engineer's point of view. But there are 4 walls available for people to talk about in the community. What can be done with those walls, or just left plain.
Part of our burgeoning Pride in Lake Worth concept.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
I
So-
just request at least a small iguana motif on that wall, because
On its back.
they cost us so much money, those animals.
I think that was the first picture I took in Mexico City. There was a mural of an iguana. There's something in here.
It's insane what's going on with the iguanas. Apparently, there's one in my backyard now that the body is that big and it just throws itself out of the tree onto a glass table to eat cat food. That's the larger of the two. They eat anything. And, yeah, one of my succulent plants mysteriously disappeared. Like every day I go out and like, there was less of it. So this is great. Thank you very much. Do we have a vote? All in favor? Thank you. Passes unanimously. Now we're gonna go back to A,
Staff thanks you.
and we thank the staff. A, which is a contract with Oceanside Beach Services for beach equipment. Now it's rental concessions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Lauren Bennett, Director of Leisure Services Department for the record. I would also throw in maybe we could make the iguana a zombie because that would tie in perfectly. Electric utilities passed. So this is just a pretty standard contract with Oceanside Beach Services to provide the equipment, the cabanas, the umbrellas, the chairs at the beach. And this is a contract where they're actually paying us money.
There you go.
And I love the increase.
Thank you.
It's a nice
That's
increase.
a good.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Are there any public, do I have a second?
Oh, second.
Do I have any public comments, ma'am? No? Okay.
No more public comment.
Okay, Ms. Stokes?
I just wanted to appreciate the language in here protecting the public aspect of our beach. So not only just for regular operations, but once the hotel's up and running, to make sure it remains first come, first serve, and that people who want to just bring their own towel will have a place to go as well. So I appreciate adding in all that language.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another job well done. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Now we are on B, item B, which is the consideration of an unsolicited offer to purchase the city-owned vacant lot at 1112 18th Avenue North. Who's going to talk to us about this? Mr. Waters?
I suppose I will.
Thank you.
This has been going on for several months. As you all know, that Davis Auto Repair has been a local business in the city for quite a long time. There is this mysterious parcel that the city owns. I conjecture that it's part of what originally was Florida Street, and somehow over its history it became a parcel. It does have some utilities in it, as have been identified by the water utility. And through our process of unsolicited bids, which I don't recall whether it was this commission or the previous commission that changed our ordinances that allowed unsolicited bids to come in, it stipulates that we can receive an unsolicited bid. However, the city must net no less than the appraised value or the PAPA value of the property. Mr. Davis gave us an unsolicited bid that sufficiently met that requirement. He worked with us. He's prepared a a title search and a proposed survey. We have not put on that survey yet the required easement. If that we weren't going to go that step unless you approve to sell it, and that'll be coordinated with the water utility. Mr. Davis is also here to answer your questions if you have any.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Let's have some commission comment.
What I'd like to know, if we could hear from Mr. Davis, is what are your plans? I mean, I understand the parcel. I know where it is. I see the pictures. What are your plans with this parcel? Is it going to be into iguana right now? Or like, what do you have? What are you foreseeing?
September 30th, we're gonna put it full of trees. That's what we're gonna do.
What you gonna do?
September 30th for
Arbor Day.
for Arbor Day.
I love
We're
it.
planting full of trees. I mean, the big thing is just clean up the alleyway. I haven't, we've been there for 21 years now, in Lake Worth, my dad and and I see this property every day, 12 hours a day. We're down there. We drive through it. Only thing I've been doing is just cutting back the trees because I don't own it. A little bit of grass grows. It's got some asphalt on it. And now's the time just to move forward and, purchase the alleyway, clean it up. I can get some irrigation back there, just maximize the space. There's a whole corner full of probably iguana habitation back there. It's just vegetation. Like Mr. Walter said, it doesn't go through. It's not a drive-through alleyway. It's just a piece of land the city owns. And I've been looking at it for years, and I approached him, Mr. Walters, about moving forward with the purchase of it, and he had some good answers that allowed me to get to where I am today.
Great.
Just to wrap up that piece of property, and as far as I know, it's not being used for anything.
Are you going to be improving your business, your building? What is the positive attribute for you spending $35,000?
Yeah, I mean, that's the conversation. It's going to be next. A bigger, I have a bigger spot. We've done 20 years. We did about 10 years plus with just our building. And then I purchased the lot next to my building. And now I'm growing. So, I mean, this last parcel gives me a bigger square. We'll have talks. I mean, I'll move forward on a building. Whatever we can agree on, I'll get an architect. I mean, that's next. I can't do.
You would be investing more money?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't do what I do for the next 20 years at my building. I need to grow. We've been voted #1 in Palm Beach County in car repair services for 3 years in a row now.
That's awesome.
And it's the new customers that come into Lake Worth. It's not slowing down. I got my dad retired now, so yeah, a little bit.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah. But another 20 years, 10 more years, my kids are. They're going to be old enough, and I don't want to leave Lake Worth. So yeah, building's going to be next. I have, this is the first step, and then, architect, designing. I mean, the mid's up. They're breaking ground next door to me in that other lot. So I mean, I'm next.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
just want to say thank you as a business owner, I understand what it's like to keep wanting to reinvest, and thank you for wanting to do this. So that was my question when I saw this, is what was your next step? So thank you for wanting to keep staying here in Lake Worth Beach and reinvesting in us. And you are a pillar of the community when it comes to business. So thank you.
There aren't many beloved auto mechanics in the world.
It's tough.
I know, right? Yeah, there's that. And you and Mr. Waters have discussed a future building or things like that?
Not yet. We've discussed the process because it's auto repair. It would be a conditional use,
Right.
and there are some performance standards that would, besides just the building be expanded, we have landscape requirements.
Right,
We
okay,
have
but it's not
improved
something,
surface
it's not
requirements.
barred by some,
Mm-mm.
okay, great,
No.
thank you. Ms. Stokes?
That was going to be something that I wanted to mention, the landscaping. So if you do improve the property and it comes back to planning and zoning, there will be some additional landscaping requirements to help
significant-
beautify Dixie a little
There
bit.
is a street wall requirement that we adopted in the last LDRs. So the building will have to look like it extends farther along Dixie Highway. There will be required tree and shrub buffering between not only the property to the north, but also the properties to the west. And if, depending on how they design storage of cars, or maybe even interior islands where there'll be trees, but it will be reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Board.
Sure.
Yeah, so when I heard about this, my thought was we could either try to restrict you to what you have now and your ability to grow, or open it up a little bit and then see Dixie Highway get prettier in the process.
But this doesn't have anything to do with Dixie, the piece of property. I know that, thank you. But this sale is not connected to another
But
improvement.
if he improves
he
after,
did, of
after the
course.
sale,
Of
will
course,
allow
yeah.
him more flexibility in
I'll be
improving the
back.
property. And if he does, once he does
It'd be great to
that,
see a
he'll
hedge.
have, it will look a lot better.
Yeah.
Much, much better.
I can't, yeah. The lot needs to do
A little work.
something with the
I
lot.
don't know. Mr. Diaz.
First I'll point out my dad's a retired auto mechanic, and so I grew up working on all my own cars. And it's very rare that I bring a car to a mechanic. Usually it's to your shop, and it's usually because I can't break a bolt free or something with my tools. That was the last case, but in any case, I have similar questions, and driving by, I think you've already made improvements, right? Because is it my imagination? You've already planted hedges along Dixie.
Code enforcement has been by. I'm
They
up to date on
finally-
all my
Yeah.
code violations. I worked with code before I got violations. I got some violations, but I did what I could to avoid violations. I still got them, but then, a matter of weeks, or it was quick. I have a good circle of people just to do the hedges. I came in for that agreement, and that was done in less than 7 days. Painted the building, got rid of the awning. I'm working around. It's not the easiest thing to do what we're doing with how the shop looks, but it works. It could be a new building, restructured building. Keeping the air compressor for all the tools inside the building and out of the weather. That's a whole nother, it's a whole nother conversation. Like I said, I'll be back. This is just the first step, and Mr. Waters pointed me to get everything done up to this point.
But I guess the point is you're already making the progress to what you're saying you're doing.
I'm there 12 hours a day in the trenches. I see what's going on up and down the road. Farmer Girl's not going anywhere. Tuppence down the street, Smarty Plants, they're right there. We're all staying.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous volume you do with. I think you have 2 lifts, right?
We have two. We have
How they get the cars in and out of that
two
building
big
every
ones,
day.
2 small ones.
Coordination.
It's something else.
Yeah, because I think the concern that you probably get from here is we don't want it to be like just another lot filled with cars and barren and whatnot. And it looks like you're already kind of making the moves to make it not that. And
That's the one thing, to not make it an eyesore. When a customer parks a car in the middle of 18th Avenue, I got to move it out of there, especially with the construction now with that lot next door. That's one other major reason that I need to move forward, is that construction going on. I see what is 817th looks like with that parking. I need to keep my customers and just my operation in that square lot. So the alleyway, buying the alleyway is the only way that I can keep everything in house and not have it overflow into 18th Avenue. Because but I'm there 12 hours a day, and if I'm not there, things won't get done.
Yeah. It's almost amazing that this went so long unnoticed, because it's pretty rare that I think you're going to get this commission to agree to give up publicly owned property. But this is like the most, other than the utilities, it's functionally not useful.
It's not a drive-through.
alley.
Yeah, you can't drive.
We can't really swap it with anybody. So I think it won't be useful to anybody but you. So thank you.
Mr. McVoy?
I'd like to add 2 stipulations to it. One is that you have to increase your time on site to 12.25 hours a day. And the second one is more serious, and this one's directed to Mr. William Waters. I love the Bob Davis sign. I believe it's painted on the wall.
It's painted on the wall. The letters are smaller.
Some arrangement that he's allowed to do that on the new building, because it gives a certain flavor to the place. It's not ostentatious, it's not fancy, but it does the trick.
We got that, yeah, get that in writing.
Assuming that, you're okay.
The
with
square
that.
footage to the frontage is a big deal, I found out.
Yeah.
The letters were much bigger
They
years
used to,
ago,
yeah.
and I did have to get them, that was one of my code violations. We
I
had to
know.
get them smaller, smaller
heard that.
letters.
I love the hand painted sign and I would love to see it stay.
Yeah, I heard that.
I did not see that, but
Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment?
we didn't give William a chance. He looked like.
I do not.
I'm thinking.
What do you need to think about?
Well, no, just in terms of as long as the existing building stays in some fashion on the site and that sign stays, it can continue as a non-conforming sign or as conforming as it can be. And then we'll deal with other signage that may come up.
Right.
But if the building goes away, then it's a little more difficult to bring back a non-conforming sign.
Banksy sometimes does it, so let's see if we can't find a way.
Okay.
Banksy,
You don't
look it up.
Google it. Okay, we have public comment. Tom Conboy, Michael McLeod, and David Sims. Banksy. He's British. Yeah, he's very interesting. Good evening, Mr. Conboy.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, fellow commissioners or commissioners. My comment here is
Name
more,
and address for the record, sir.
excuse me, 30 South M Street, business owner. So reviewing the agenda, we noticed this property and it being public lands being sold. We looked at it. And it wasn't really clear the valuation, how that occurred very easy in the summary. And I think it's very, very important that the key information is put into the summary. It wasn't even mentioned. So the appraisal came out at $20 per square foot and the offer is for $8 per square foot. Now the appraisal has an across the fence discount, which brings it down to $8 a square foot. But there's no backups to support the 40%. There was no discussion of this in the summary. And it took us about 30 minutes to just get through these 65 pages and understand what was going on. And it would be so much easier to understand if those basic assumptions are spelled out in the summary, because then you can see what's going on. So I highly recommend in the future that those basic assumptions like the total square footage, the $20, and then the discount down to $8 and how that is. And I would recommend more information on the across the fence justification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Michael McLeod. Hi, name and address, please.
Michael McLeod, 124 South K Street. I'm actually going to take the easy way out on this because you did such a great job of basically saying some of the same things that I was going to say. I've served on many advisory boards and been presented with background information on topics that were going to be discussed. And I also thought that the summary was lacking in that it didn't really summarize all of the points that were made in the full document. And I think that as a member of the public, and I think also for you as a commission, that it's important that you have all the information so you understand what it is you're making you're voting on. So yeah, that's my point.
Thank you. And last, Mr. Sims.
Good evening, David Sims, 715 North L Street. So my remarks are similar to the previous ones. I was looking over the backup information before the meeting on this agenda item, and I know there's lots of information on lots of agenda items that needs to be in the packet, but I went through, I guess the information was buried on like several hundred pages, like one of the, like the 380th page of this packet. And they compared this property to similar properties around that were about $19 to $24 a square foot. And then this one was declared and they had examples of those, but then this one was declared unbuildable. So it went down to $8 a square foot. And that's understandable. If this is too small to be building something on, you'd, cut the price back. But it would have been nice to have seen some research and examples of other places nearby that were deemed unbuildable. Or what about other municipalities like Boynton or Delray? Have they found unbuildable properties where they cut the price back? That would have been nice if that was researched and put in there. Now, I had this concern before hearing Mr. Davis's plans to fix up his property. I was thinking, well, he seems to be already using that strip for parking now, and he's been for years. And why does he just suddenly want to buy it now? And I was concerned about, well, is he getting an offer because there's a development below him and there's a property for sale for development above? Does he want to sell it? And if he does want to, combine that slice of land with what he already has, if he wanted to sell it to a developer, it would be worth more than the $8 a square foot because it would be buildable. But that was before.
Thank you, that's time.
That he plans to do something, then I'm more understanding.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. We have a motion and a second. Mr. McBoy?
I do hear the comments from the public, and it's a theme that I've had also for quite a while. Is my standard that I'd like to see us adopt always for backup is that the summary has enough of the main points and the critical pieces, not necessarily all the detail. It can refer to essentially an appendix in the extra 50 pages or whatever that goes with it. But the summary should have enough in it that both all of us as the commission, the deciding body, and the public can look at it and say, okay, I follow the logic. This one seems like pretty much of a slam dunk. They should all vote for this. I'll be surprised if they don't. Or this one, there's reasonable arguments to go either way, and we'll see what the commission does. But I think it's very important that the summary has enough summary in it that process of the thinking and the needed information, that we strive harder to get that in there. There have been a number of cases where we didn't. In this case, it's been very helpful to have Mr. Davis come and explain what they're planning to do. But the concern that was raised, suppose the two properties were combined and somebody other than the Davis family were to say, we're selling this tomorrow, and they're getting the equivalent of, instead of $35,000 for that piece of it, they're getting the equivalent of $300,000 a day later, or a month later, or whatever. And we gave it away undervalued. In this case, I don't think that's a likely scenario at all, but I think we should really strive harder to have the backup be very understandable, both by all of the commission and the public.
Thank you, Ms. Stokes.
Just a brief comment. I want to support that we make sure that we have very clear information for the public. They don't have access to Ms. Davis and Mr. William Waters like we do. So I can get to the agenda and say, what's going on here? And I can have a quick phone call. And I don't want anyone in the public spending half an hour trying to dig through details like that. And anytime we're talking about the sale or trade of public land, I think we need to be extra sensitive. So I was disappointed that the appraisals were not initially part of the backup for an earlier vote until I asked for them to be included. And in the January meeting, we had asked for those to be included in the backup as well, and they were left off. So I think we can do a better job with the summary and the backup, and especially around sensitive items regarding the sale or swap of public land.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Okay, I'll give it to Malega.
All right. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.